At the end of this gray and overcast April day, the town of Wilmington has just closed its voting booths. It is fitting that our election fall on the same weekend as Patriots' Day, for just as our forefathers in Massachusetts towns fought battles for freedom and a voice in government, so today in our Massachusetts town, we are fighting a financial and budgetary battle and exercising our voices in government. This election also falls on Easter Eve, and 17 Wilmington candidates are hoping and praying that the Easter Bunny treats them well. Over the next few hours, we'll learn the decisions that the Wilmington voter has made. When we are done, we will have 2 new selectmen, 3 new school committee members, 2 new housing authority members, and new members for the Redevelopment Authority and the Vocational School District Committee. We invite you to join us now, live at Town Hall, for WCTV's election night coverage, as we watch the returns that will lead 9 people to victory and 8 to defeat. WCTV now presents Election Night 1992.
Well, good evening, Wilmington, and welcome to Town Hall. My name is J.T. Turner, and I'm going to be your host this evening for the live coverage of the 1992 Wilmington Town election. We hope to do a good job for you this evening. WCTV has a crew of 12 out here working with me, and we will bring you the best coverage we possibly can. So please, stay with us for the next few hours and enjoy the election results. Now, to give you a little bit of an idea of how we're formatting this evening, I'll be having some interviews with our political analyst and some key people around town, and also we'll be getting updates of the election as they happen. And to help me with that job, I am ably assisted this evening by our town moderator, Jim Stewart.
Good evening.
Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Jim, maybe you could help our viewers out by telling them a little bit about how the mechanics of the results coming into you are going to go this evening.
Sure. I'll be reporting the results as they come in from both the Town Hall and the Wildwood Street School. As you're aware, precincts 1, 2, and 5 voted today at the Town Hall, and precincts 3, 4, and 6 voted at the Wildwood Street School. I'll be taking the results right off of the voting machines as they're handed to me from Town Clerk Kay Scanlon. I caution you that although these results are coming directly off the machine, they are unofficial, and the results I'm reading do not include the absentee ballots that were submitted to the town clerk prior to today's election. Turnout has been very strong today, and town clerk estimates that the final turnout will be somewhere around 3,700 voters, up somewhat from previous elections, and right on the number that town clerk Kay Scanlon predicted in last week's town crier. I'll be reporting results on the selectmen's race first, school committee, the vocational school committee, then the 3-year seat for the Wilmington Housing Authority, the 5-year seat for the Wilmington Housing Authority, and then finally the Redevelopment Authority seat. Just a quick reminder before I turn it back to JT, next week, Saturday, April 25th, is Wilmington's annual town meeting, and we'll be having that town meeting at 10:30 in the morning at Larry Cushion Memorial Gymnasium at Wilmington High School, and I invite all of you to come and participate and attend Wilmington's town meeting. We have a number of issues, 30-some-odd articles before town meeting, very, very important budget before us this year, and many land sale articles and other important issues that I'm sure you'll be interested in attend town meeting.
Great. Thanks very much, Jim.
JT, thank you.
Jim Stewart, a gentleman that you're going to be seeing quite a bit of this evening. Now let's take a look at the actual races as they are listed on your ballots here in town so we can all know exactly who's in the running this evening. Starting out with the selectmen's race, we have the following people contending for a selectman's seat. First of all, Chester Bruce, the only incumbent running. Also Anthony Capuano, Gerald Dugan, Michael McCoy, Elmer Parker, and Thomas Siracusa. Moving on, we come to the school committee race. We have 3 openings for a 3-year term with the school committee. And running is Aldo Cara, John DeMarco, Andrea Paglia. All those 3 individuals are incumbents running for re-election. We have James Damos, Bradford Jackson, and Linda McMenamin. In the Regional Vocational School District Committee, a 3-year term, only one person running for a seat, and that is John Gillis. The Wilmington Housing Authority for a 3-year seat. We have the contenders being Dorothy Butler and Charles Fiore Jr. Wilmington Housing Authority for the 5-year seat, we have Alfred Meegan running unopposed. And for the Redevelopment Authority, we have Vaughn Supernaut, again an incumbent, and he is running for re-election unopposed. Well, that is our horse race, as it were, for this evening. And I'm very pleased to introduce you to this evening's political analyst for WCTV, Kevin Sawarda. Kevin,
you.
welcome to WCTV.
Thanks. It's good to be here.
For those of you that don't know him, Kevin writes an excellent column for the Town Crier called Frankly Speaking. And if you're like me, you live in Wilmington, you open up the Town Crier right away and you take a look at what Kevin is saying
What a
this week.
plug. Hey, it's
Oh,
good
we
to be
try.
here. This
It's
is
a
the
pleasure
first,
having you here.
This is the first election I haven't lost in a while. And so it's good to be here to be analyzing the results, and I think you guys have done a great job. It looks terrific here.
Tremendous. Thank you, Kevin. Kevin, as you know, pulls no punches, so I wanted to have him on, and this should be a very lively conversation. I'd like to point out that I've never been in your column, and I'd like to keep it that way. Just for the record. Just for the record. I thought what we'd do is start off, Kevin, by talking about the races, and then as we're talking about some general issues in a race, let's talk about the specific candidates.
Sure.
Give me your opinion, some of your feedback. Let's start with the selectmen's race. What are the key issues?
I think the selectmen's race has been an eclectic campaign. You've got a whole different variety of candidates, and I think the one thing that people have agreed on throughout town is they can't call it. I think the real issue in the selectmen's race is whether or not the negativity that exists on the school committee side transfers. That is to say that the anti-incumbency that most people agree is on the school committee side, whether or not that hurts the one incumbent up on the Board of Selectmen. The selectmen's race is interesting because we're coming into a tough budget year, and I think the people that portray themselves as most fiscal conservative clearly
$4 are a net.
Analysts. Let's start with Chet Bruce. Chet has always touted himself as being nonpartisan, a bit of an individualist on the board. He is the only incumbent running. Is that incumbency going to hurt him in this race?
I think on the Board of Selectmen it doesn't. I think it's tough to say that Chet Bruce hasn't performed. I think it's tough to point to any scandals or controversy. One can't say that about the incumbents on the school committee side. Chet Bruce, I think, 3 years ago waged a campaign that promised a fiscally conservative agenda. I think he's delivered on that. I think most people at town meeting would agree that he's spoken out for the most part against Proposition 2.5 overrides that weren't absolutely necessary. He's been there as a voice for consolidation, that sort of thing. I think he should hold his own tonight.
Great. Let's move on. Tony Capuano, a gentleman who has said he's a spokesman for the people, says he has a lot of time, that he's able to go out, attend meetings, really work for the town. How are Tony's chances tonight?
Tony's the ultimate neighborhood activist. He's out there working the crowds, and that's something that he obviously brings to the campaign, to his credit. He certainly works the crowds the best. I've seen him at function halls and that sort of thing, and does well. I think he's got a shot tonight. He surprised a lot of people when he ran against Bob Kane. When that happened, a lot of people asked who was Tony Capuano, and yet though he lost that election, he pulled a very strong vote. I believe it was about 1,000. People were very surprised by that, and so I think he comes into the race with a legitimate base, and so he should be in the hunt tonight.
Great. How about Jerry Dugan? What's he going to...
Jerry Duggan has been the ultimate wild card from day one for the simple fact that people don't see Jerry Duggan as a politician. But what they do see Jerry Duggan as is a very popular, nice guy, if you will. He reminds me a lot of Bob Doucette, the guy he's trying to replace. It's ironic. Bob Doucette ran years ago as someone who wasn't involved in politics, but as someone who was very popular in the community. And in these local elections, quite frankly, that's enough sometimes. I think Jerry Duggan stands a very good chance of winning tonight. He is definitely in the hunt. He's put together a great organization, and I think he is definitely in the hunt tonight in the selectmen's race.
Do you think the fact that he is viewed as not a politician is going to help him? Is that going to be in his favor?
If there was ever a year to be not a politician, it's 1992.
One of the things that he is in favor of is collaborative planning. There's been a lot of talk in town about bickering and partisanship, and he talks about combining town hall, the school department, parents, teachers, the town working together. Is that a hot issue this time
It's a
out?
hot issue, and that's a message that sells. I think people are getting very tired of this, quote, town side versus, quote, school side, and someone who's coming out with a message of bringing it together and having consistency on both sides, which I suppose would mean that if you're going to have 0% raises on one side, you would therefore have it on another, that sort of thing. That type of message, I think, sells tonight.
Sure, absolutely. Let's move on. We have Michael McCoy. Where to begin? I mean, this is a candidate who's very controversial in town. Got a late start, a surprising start. A lot of people were a little surprised that Michael decided
Sure.
to come out and run. What do you think his chances are?
Is he still in the race? You know, it's really funny. When he first started campaigning, I said to people that if he ran campaigns that had pictures of his family and was completely positive, he might actually have a shot at capturing some votes. But I think he's the first candidate in American political history to run negative ads against himself. And I learned in a political science class a long time ago that the day before the election, you don't want to be found guilty on charges of assault and battery, and you don't want to be charged $17,000, and you certainly don't want to be hit with the interest. So I just don't see him in the hunt tonight.
Now, let's clarify that, because that might be a little bit of new news for some of our
the
viewers.
new news is that finally, after various delays, the so-called Kane-McCoy trial was settled as far as the civil litigation is concerned, and the judge ruled that Mike McCoy is guilty. The judgment of facts was very damning towards Mr. McCoy. We won't go through them now because it's an endless document. You'll see it in the paper this week, and I think the Lowell Sun is giving some coverage to it. And the final order by the judge was that Mr. McCoy, who was found guilty, must pay Mr. Kane $17,000 plus interest relating back to the incident that we all are familiar with.
Let's get back to the actual election now. That certainly has a lot of sizzle, has a lot of play.
Sure.
But is that the only thing hurting Michael McCoy? He's certainly come out, ran a lot of strong ads in some cases, saying that he's a man of the people, a champion of the people. Has he been able to defer some of this negative criticism? Is he stronger than you think he might be?
People judge you on your performance in politics, and I would dare say that had the incident not occurred in November of that year, before Mike McCoy was up for re-election, he still would have faced a tough re-election fight. He's not exactly the most articulate person on the block, and I think was controversial from the start, but you know, clearly this is the key issue, and you can't overlook it. It's a character issue, and I guess he's a local Bill Clinton, if you will, but with a lot more baggage, and I just don't see him breaking 1,000 votes tonight.
Let's talk about a candidate that I frankly do not know a tremendous deal about, Elmer Parker.
Never trust a guy named Fudgy, and I think that when someone answers the League of Women Voters questions by saying, I'm not qualified for this office, but I'm running anyway, you know how many votes he's going to get. I say 120. That's my prediction.
Let's talk about someone who's run a very strong campaign, a very visible campaign, lots of ads, a lot of personality, a lot of showmanship, Tom Siracusa.
Tom Siracusa is amazing. He started out the campaign as really nothing. I mean, people did not know who he was. He had people had some knowledge of him as the chairman of the Housing Authority, but in a relatively short period of time, he's amassed incredible endorsements, which I think still play well in these local elections. Some people argue otherwise. I think they sell. I think people read those ads for the endorsements, and this week was a case in point whereby he has the entire establishment, and some very positive names, mind you, behind him. I think the election, as far as Tom's concerned, is going to be interesting tonight. If people are happy with his recent decision to dismiss Ella Belmore and finally get the Housing Authority on a different course, they're clearly going to have reason to vote for him today. If for some reason there's a wealth of support out there for the executive director, soon to be former executive director, Tom's in trouble. That's going to be a case here. That's a big issue. It was a big gamble on his part. It was a decisive decision. I think it helps him because he looks decisive. He looks like a real leader who's not afraid to make what clearly was a very tough decision. He's in the hunt. He's a legitimate contender tonight.
He's out there. But again, we have another candidate with some baggage, if we can call it that, that might come back to haunt him.
Possibly. I think it helps him a lot more than it hurts him. I really do. I think the reaction, for the most part, was in his favor. And I think in the long term, it's a decision that was made well for policy reasons and, quite frankly, even for political ones.
Let's move on. Let's talk about what probably is the most hotly contested race in town, and that of the school committee. Let's talk a little bit, first of all, about the perception of the school committee, some of the problems that it has.
The perception of the school committee fuels the fires on Beacon Hill that right now would call for an education reform bill. It's in the legislature, and it will do away with all this because school committees will only meet 4 times a year. And it's these local boards that are having reps and senators get behind this bill up there. It's really interesting. We used to talk about Bob Horn and the $64,000 buyback in those bad days. Well, it seems as if the times have only gotten worse for the reputation of the school committee. I believe that they're public relation masochists. I mean, it's just unbelievable how bad the reputation of the body is as a whole. Now, most people would seem to blame that on a key group of people that, quite frankly, aren't up for re-election right now. But I think that the incumbents who are might get blamed for this anti-school committee feeling that's out there because of the performance and the bickering and quite frankly, some scandals and that sort of thing. And I think that the incumbents have legitimate fights on their hands tonight.
You know, it's unfortunate that Kevin is so reticent about his opinions and really can't express himself in clearer terms, but we'll press on. Let's talk about some of those specific candidates.
I'm leaving out the back door, by the way, because I think there's a couple of candidates in the audience.
I was going to say, this would be interesting.
Thank God Bob Kane isn't up for election this year. I'll get him next year.
Let's talk about Aldo Caira.
Aldo is probably one of the most honest people you're going to meet in the town of Wilmington. There's no integrity issue whatsoever. But I think that two of his colleagues, quite frankly, Shirley Callan and Peggy Kane, have played an intriguing game of politics. They've absolutely succeeded in having him look bad right now as the chairman up for re-election, even though many people would blame those two members not up for re-election right now for a lot of the problems on the school committee.
So is it going to be a perception problem? Here's a chairman, there's dissension in his ranks. Why can't he keep better control?
He's the chairman of a committee that has a very low rating right now. That's all that need be said, and I think he's got a real tough fight on his hands.
Okay, good enough. John DeMarco.
John is the incumbent who I think is the strongest. He's spoken of as the diplomat on the school committee. I don't think I've ever heard John DeMarco raise his voice in his life. He's a thoroughly professional person, voted in a lousy way on the teacher's contract, $2.7 million raise in the middle of the 1991 Depression. I think that hurts both of the incumbents, obviously, but I think if there's one incumbent who has the best chance of surviving tonight, I would say it is John DeMarco more than Aldo Caira, because quite frankly, Aldo is burdened by that chairmanship tonight.
Let's talk about the last incumbent that we're going to discuss who's running, Andrea Paglia.
I think she's the weakest incumbent in the field. I haven't seen a campaign. I think there's some, just a controversial image of her. I don't think she's ever articulated an agenda effectively, and I don't think she'll pull it off tonight.
Okay. James Damos.
Jim Demos is off again, on again, off again, on again. Some people criticize him for not spending any money on the campaigns, but quite frankly, he doesn't have to. The name is so much out there, and he's got a crowd. I don't see him in the hunt as much as I do some of the other candidates in that race.
Brad Jackson.
He'll top the ticket, and he'll top the ticket for a single reason. He has managed to distinguish himself the most from the problems of the school committee. He's seen as the get back to business, to use his slogan, I believe, candidate. He's come out most strongly opposed to the teacher's contract, and I think people see him as the best agent of change at a time when people are looking for positive change on that school committee. For those reasons, I predict he'll top the ticket.
And certainly running for fiscal conservancy is a good idea these days.
Sure, and being a former member of the Finance Committee, known as a fiscal conservative at that time, I believe, as most would probably agree, doesn't hurt him at all tonight.
Let's move on. Linda McMenamin.
Linda McMenamin is a real strong name in the town of Wilmington. She was my third grade teacher in this room, I think. And so that's an irony as we talk tonight, but there's no bias there, believe it or not. She didn't run a strong campaign, as strong of a campaign as I would have suggested, but she's got this real grassroots organization out there that's quiet but effective. I think they vote for her. I think a lot of them bullet vote for her, even though she doesn't request it. And I think she can do well tonight.
Very quickly, wrapping up some of the other elections, we have the Wilmington Housing Authority, what might be a very hot race between Charles Fiore and Dorothy Butler for the 3-year opening.
It's been a sleeper except for the last 10 days, and suddenly you've seen Charlie Fiore become the blitzkrieg candidate, hitting practically every door in town, coming out with some effective letters and campaign ads at a time when Dot Butler is thought of positively but does not exactly have the biggest name in the history of the town. I think Charlie Fiore will pull off an upset tonight.
That's your gut feeling? You think Charlie's going to win?
I think with a good margin. And if he does that, the long-term story is that there could be the vote for rehiring Ella Belmore. So that's a more important race than people might realize on the surface.
Now keep in mind, Kevin also predicted last year that Brad Jackson would win, so let's take it with a grain of salt.
Who's got that column?
Regional Vocational School District Committee, we only have one person running. What kind of a job is John Gillis going to do?
He has done an exemplary job. He's a great guy, a good man doing a good job. I hope he does better tonight than I did last year, and he deserves to be unopposed tonight. I'm sure he'll get a good vote of confidence, and he's a solid man, and I think he'll be reelected, and he is unopposed on the ballot, but deservedly so.
Wilmington Housing Authority, the 5-year slot, Al Megan.
Al Megan's unopposed. He's been working hard. I think he's got a good reputation in town, and I think he'll get a high vote.
And Vaughn Supernaut running unopposed again for the Redevelopment Authority.
Yeah, no one else wants to sit on that committee. They should abolish it anyway and give the money back to the General Treasury, and I agree with Jimmy Stewart on that issue. That's the one issue we agree on.
Great, great. There you have it, Kevin's picks and pans, as it were. It'll be interesting to watch tonight and see just how we develop as we go along. Kevin, we'd like you to hang around. We'd like to get more of your input as we go.
Sounds great.
Great.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Okay, let's see if we can get one of the candidates to join us this evening. One of the candidates for, in fact, the school committee that we just chatted about, and that would be Linda McMenamin. As soon as we can get her in and mic'd up, as it were, we'll have her join us. And again, taking a look at what we're going to be seeing tonight, the following people are running for selectmen. We have Chet Bruce, Anthony Capuano, Gerald Duggan, Michael McCoy, Elmer Parker, and Tom Syracusa. Running for the school committee, we will be having Aldo Kyra, John DeMarco, Andrea Paglia, James Damos, Brad Jackson, and Linda McMenamin. Regional Vocational School District Committee, John Gillis, running unopposed. And for the Housing Authority, 3-year seat, Dorothy Butler, going out against Charles Fiore, Jr. The Housing Authority 5-year seat, Al Megan is running once more unopposed. And finally, for the Redevelopment Authority, Vaughn Supranaut, our incumbent, running unopposed. Well, I'm happy to be back with another guest. Now, what is your name again? I'm talking, of course, with Bob Kane. A pleasure to see you.
Howdy. Thank you very much for having me.
Let's get some input from you. What do you think are some of the critical issues that we're going to find out about in this campaign? What's facing Wilmington?
Well, the most critical issue that faces every town in the Commonwealth of the United States now is money. And it's the ability to get the money to do the job that people expect to have done. And the town's been working in that direction, and we run into several roadblocks, so to speak. People filing for abatements, text drawn in regards to filing for an abatement saying they were improperly assessed, and then not winning that case was quite a draw of the town.
Let's get your personal opinion, Bob. You know that there is a pretty wide slate out there running tonight, everybody hoping to get in. Who would you like to see on the board as a companion of yours?
The two people that get the most votes.
Am I with a politician here? Let me check. All right, let's not talk about two specific individuals. What qualities would you like to see those individuals, whoever they might be, bring to the board?
I think that all the candidates bring specific qualities themselves. And I believe that all the candidates have the best interest of the town at heart, and they all bring special talent, and I'm sure whoever's elected will make a fine member to the Board of Selectmen.
As you know, there's some ill feeling in town currently about incumbents. Do you think that's going to negatively impact tonight's election?
I don't think that's the case. Maybe in national elections or big state elections, people that are in office seem to have some feeling about because of the effect that they have in people's lives. But in local elections, most people serve on boards, they give up their time, they're not reimbursed, they're not paid any money to doing it, and they do it because they care. And regardless of how that happens or how any election turns out, I don't think it's because they're there that they wouldn't be elected. I think that when there's a change in local government or local offices, it's because somebody else is out working and just getting their message across a little better. Those of us that have been in office a little bit tend to relax some, and we get caught up by that.
Sure. There's also a lot of talk around town. A lot of people are frustrated with what they perceive to be infighting, and a number of candidates are running on a platform of let's have coordination, let's have towns and parents and different departments, businesses working together. Is that what Wilmington needs?
Okay. I think we already have that. And because there's different people, and it sounds like infighting, it's debate over the issues. You have one side trying to express their opinion, and somebody else is expressing theirs. If there wasn't debate, or healthy debate, nothing would happen. I think if somebody says, okay, let's do it this way, and everybody agrees, then we don't get the best product. So I think that healthy debate and controversy is good.
Good enough. Thank you for joining us
Okay,
tonight
thank you.
on
Good luck.
WCTV. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Moving on, we're going to have another guest right away, and that is, of course, John Gillis. John, can we bring you over? He'll be right with us. John, of course, is running for the Regional Vocational School District Committee. And John, you're running unopposed. Welcome to WCTV. How do you think you'll do?
I think I'll do all right. I think I should be able to take the race.
John, tell us a little bit about your campaign. Certainly you were running unopposed, but what about the issues? You know, people are very concerned. When you bring up the word school in Wilmington, they're extremely concerned. What are you going to do to help this town?
Well, I'm going to try to do what I've felt I've done for 6 years, is to bring in a sound budget based on sound fiscal policies and present it to the town of Wilmington and present their assessment to the town and hope that they vote what we feel is a fair assessment.
There's also, as I was just talking with Bob Kane, a feeling in town of frustration because there has been what some people perceive as a lack of concentration on what would be the main ingredient of a school committee anyway and anywhere, which is the children. How can we get away from this infighting and get more concentrated on good quality education for the kids?
Well, all I can say is my board, we're 5 towns represented by 2 representatives from each town. And we run it strictly for the kids, no politics. And if I believe all the boards in town ran that way and just said, forget if you like the person, you don't like the person, just do it for the education of the children of Wilmington, and you'll get along fine. We have had some heated discussions on our committee, but when it's all over, we get up, shake hands, and we go home. Everything we do is for the children of Wilmington.
And that's really what it comes down to, working for the kids of Wilmington.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you for joining us
Thank you
on
very much.
WCTV. We'll be right back in just a minute with some of the first results from this evening's campaign. Stay with us, please. Joining us again, we're going to have the first results this evening given by our town moderator, Jim Stewart. Jim?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I have the first results from precincts 1, 2, and 5. I'll be giving you those results as they came off the machine. The way I'll be reading them, I'll be reading the race, which would be Selectman would be first, and then the last name of the candidate. So I will start with Selectman Bruce, Capuano, Duggan, McCoy, Parker, and Siracusa. Then I'll go to School Committee, Regional School Committee, and so on. So without further ado, this is Precinct 5. Precinct 5, Selectman Bruce, 70. Capuano, 74. Duggan, 65. McCoy, 63. Parker, 8. Siracusa, 50. School Committee, Kyra, 72. DeMarco, 76. Paglia, 41. Demos, 79. Jackson, 88. McMiniman, 86. Regional School Committee, Gillis, 115. Housing Authority, 3-year, Butler, 85. Fiore, 64. Housing Authority, 5-year, Megan, 101. Redevelopment Authority, Suprenant, 98. Still in Precinct 5, Selectman Bruce, 55, Capuano, 66, Duggan, 61, McCoy, 46, Parker, 4, Siracusa, 55. School Committee, Kyra, 72, DeMarco, 70, Paglia, 33, Demos, 51, Jackson, 82, McMiniman, 82. Regional School Committee, Gillis, 114. Housing Authority, 3-year, Butler, 72, Fiore, 74. Housing Authority, 5-year, Megan, 112. Redevelopment Authority, Suprenant, 102. Still in Precinct 5, Selectman Bruce, 51. Capuano, 70. Duggan, 48. McCoy, 53. Parker, 7. Siracusa, 34. School Committee, Kyra, 67, DeMarco, 67, Paglia, 32, Demos, 60, Jackson, 72, McMiniman, 75. Regional School Committee, Gillis, 99, excuse me, Mr. Gillis, 99. Housing Authority, 3-year, Butler, 65, Fiore, 62. Housing Authority, 5-year, Megan, 90. Redevelopment Authority, Suprenant, 81. Okay. Last Machine in Precinct 5, Bruce, Selectman, 57. Capuano, 74. Duggan, 59. McCoy, 47. Parker, 1. Siracusa, 66. School Committee, Kyra, 75. DeMarco, 79. Paglia, 33. Demos, 65. Jackson, 86. McMiniman, 87. Regional School Committee, Gillis, 105. Housing Authority, 3-year, Butler, 59. Fiore, 86. Housing Authority, 5-year, Megan, 106. Redevelopment Authority, Suprenant, 107. That ends Precinct 5. We'll take Precinct 2. Okay. We'll continue in just a moment. Our calculators are figuring the numbers as we speak. All set? This is precinct number 2. Selectman, Bruce, 23. Capuano, 10. Duggan, 25. McCoy, 26. Parker, 3. Siracusa, 30. School Committee, Kyra, 28. DeMarco, 27. Paglia, 14. Demos, 18. Jackson, 43. McMiniman, 37. Regional School Committee, Gillis, 44. Housing Authority, Butler, 32. Fiore, 31. Housing Authority, 5-year, Megan, 32. Redevelopment Authority, Suprenant, 39. Still in Precinct 2. Selectman, Bruce, 41. Capuano, 33. Duggan, 73. McCoy, 42. Parker, 11. Siracusa, 60. School Committee, Kyra, 72. DeMarco, 66. Paglia, 30. Demos, 46. Jackson, 80. McMiniman, 61. Regional School Committee, Gillis, 92. Housing Authority, 3-year, Butler, 59. Fiore, 70. Housing Authority, 5-year, Megan, 90. Redevelopment Authority, Suprenant, 94. Still in Precinct 2. Selectman, Bruce, 52. Capuano, 41. Duggan, 58. McCoy, 54. Parker, 2. Siracusa, 42. School Committee, Kyra, 66. DeMarco, 58. Paglia, 21. Demos, 52. Jackson, 76. McMiniman, 64. Regional School Committee, Gillis, 85. Housing Authority, 3-year, Butler, 58. Fiore, 70. Housing Authority, 5-year, Megan, 69. Redevelopment Authority, Suprenant, 81. Last machine in Precinct 2. These are, okay. Selectman, Bruce, 60. Capuano, 51. Duggan, 74. McCoy, 56. Parker, 9. Siracusa, 68. School Committee, Kyra, 76. DeMarco, 77. Paglia, 36. Demos, 67. Jackson, 96. McMiniman, 86. Regional School Committee, Gillis, 106. Housing Authority, 3-year. Butler, 70. Fiore, 84. Housing Authority, 5-year. Meagan, 99. Redevelopment Authority, Suprenant, 95. That ends Precinct 2. We're on Precinct 1. Precinct 1, Selectmen. Bruce, 68. Capuano, 49. Duggan, 80. McCoy, 54. Parker, 8. Siracusa, 64. School Committee, Kyra, 70. DeMarco, 66. Paglia, 40. Demos, 82. Jackson, 87. McMiniman, 97. Regional School Committee, Gillis, 114. Housing Authority, 3-year. Butler, 74. Fiore, 90. Housing Authority, 5-year. Meagan, 106. Redevelopment Authority, Suprenant, 107. Continuing with Precinct 1. Selectmen Bruce, 44. Capuano, 48. Duggan, 66. McCoy, 47. Parker, 9. Siracusa, 38. School Committee, Kyra, 45. DeMarco, 45. Paglia, 39. Demos, 70. Jackson, 60. McMiniman, 89. Regional School Committee, Gillis, 94. Housing Authority, 3-year. Butler, 60. Fiore, 71. Housing Authority, 5-year. Meagan, 83. Redevelopment Authority, Suprenant, 80. What's up? Selectmen Bruce, 25. Capuano, 29. Duggan, 34. McCoy, 21. Parker, 5. Siracusa, 32. School Committee, Kyra, 32. DeMarco, 34. Paglia, 20. Demos, 34. Jackson, 34. McMiniman, 38. Regional School Committee, Gillis, 56. Housing Authority, 3-year. Butler, 26. Fiore, 42. Housing Authority, 5-year. Meagan, 54. Redevelopment Authority, Suprenant, 51. Last machine, Precinct 1. Selectmen Bruce, 56. Capuano, 37. Duggan, 67. McCoy, 46. Parker, 6. Siracusa, 51. School Committee, Kyra, 67. DeMarco, 52. Paglia, 34. Demos, 67. Jackson, 56. McMiniman, 83. Regional School Committee, Gillis, 98. Housing Authority, 3-year. Butler, 64. Fiore, 70. Housing Authority, 5-year. Meagan, 94. In Redevelopment Authority, Suprenant, 90. Those are the 3 precincts that we currently have from Town Hall. We're awaiting the arrival of the sheets from the Wildwood School, and we'll bring those to you momentarily. I don't know if we have any subtotals or where we stand at this point with the 3 precincts reported from Town Hall. We'll bring those to you shortly.
Thanks. That's Jim Stewart, Town Moderator. Jim, we don't want to get rid of you quite yet because, as everyone knows, or I hope you know, Town Meeting is coming up. Town Meeting will be next Saturday, April the 25th, and that will be at 10:30 a.m. down at the Wilmington High School Auditorium. I'd like to have our Town Moderator join us, if I could, and chat a little bit about some of the issues that are important to our community that are coming up in this next Town Meeting.
Thanks, JT.
Jim, what's important for Wilmington at this Town Committee?
Well, the most important issue before a town meeting next week, of course, is the budget. That is generally the purpose for having town meeting every year, where we'll be setting our our budget and telling our town departments what appropriations we'll be approving for the upcoming fiscal year, which starts July 1. There has been much discussion about both the town and the school budget with economic conditions the way they are and fiscal restraints on the town the way they have been for the past few years. I anticipate this to be a very, very interesting town meeting and a very important budget decision that the voters of the town of Wilmington will make. So I encourage everyone to partake and participate in the town meeting next week. We also have a number of land sale issues. This is the first year that we'll be actually approving the process for selling town-owned land through an open bid process. Last year, the town meeting approved the new format, and this year the town manager is declaring land surplus, and we'll be moving forward giving the selectmen authority to sell that property.
Great. Now, this is, of course, a classic New England town meeting, but if I'm the average Joe citizen sitting out there watching this, is my coming down to town meeting really going to make any difference at all? How much of a say am I going to have?
You have the same say that every other citizen in Wilmington has, which is a very important say. Wilmington still, fortunately, has an open town meeting format, meaning that we do not have representatives. Other towns, larger towns, have a representative town meeting, which means that there are elected representatives from each precinct that represent you at town meeting. Fortunately, in Wilmington, we're able to cast our own vote, make our own decisions on every issue that comes before town meeting. So every citizen's input is important, and every issue there is important for you to be there to address. So I encourage you to participate.
Great. Thanks, Jim. Thanks for joining us
Thank you.
again. We'll have more election results for you after a short break. Please stay right there. We'll have the results for you up on our screen. Thanks.
Well, you did, no, do those, that's what, same way you did the agenda.
Welcome back. Sorry for the delay. First, let me give you the results from the first three precincts. I read precinct 1, 2, and 5 at Town Hall. In the selectmen's race, leading Jerry Duggan with 710 votes, 23% of the vote. Chet Bruce in second with 602 votes. Tom Siracusa third with 590 votes. Tony Capuano fourth with 582 votes. Michael McCoy with 555 votes. And Elmer Parker with 73 votes. School committee race. Linda McMiniman leading with 885 votes. Brad Jackson second with 860 votes. Third place, Aldo Kyra with 742 votes. John DeMarco fourth with 717 votes. Jim Demos at 691 votes. And Andrea Paglia, 373 votes. The other races, we are still tabulating, and I'll bring those to you. I do have the results now from the Wildwood Street School, so I'll get right into those. Selectmen, this is Precinct 6. Selectmen, Bruce, 53. Capuano, 43. Duggan, 40. McCoy, 35. Parker, 3. Siracusa, 63. School Committee, Kyra, 59. DeMarco, 54. Paglia, 36. Demos, 60. Jackson, 68. McMiniman, 57. Regional School Committee, Gillis, 89. Housing Authority, 3-year, Butler, 59. Fiore, 58. 5-year Housing Authority, Megan, 78. Redevelopment Authority, Suprenant, 81. Still in Precinct 6, Selectmen, Bruce, 53. Capuano, 46. Duggan, 49. McCoy, 47. Parker, 6. Siracusa, 58. School Committee, Kyra, 61. DeMarco, 63. Paglia, 29. Demos, 60. Jackson, 90. McMiniman, 64. Regional School Committee, Gillis, 91. Housing Authority, 3-year, Butler, 68. Fiore, 60. Housing Authority, 5-year, Megan, 89. Redevelopment Authority, Suprenant, 85. Selectmen, Bruce, 62. Capuano, 53. Duggan, 59. McCoy, 48. Parker, 2. Siracusa, 66. School Committee, Kyra, 69. DeMarco, 78. Paglia, 34. Demos, 55. Jackson, 98. McMiniman, 67. Regional School Committee, Gillis, 100. Housing Authority, 3-year, Butler, 61. Fiore, 83. Housing Authority, 5-year, Megan, 96. Redevelopment Authority, Suprenant, 104. Last machine in Precinct 6, Selectman Bruce, 66. Capuano, 40. Duggan, 69. McCoy, 44. Parker, 5. Siracusa, 71. School Committee, Kyra, 72. DeMarco, 88. Paglia, 32. Demos, 64. Jackson, 81. McMiniman, 69. Regional School Committee, Gillis, 106. Housing Authority, 3-year, Butler, 79. Fiore, 65. Housing Authority, 5-year, Megan, 99. Redevelopment Authority, Suprenant, 102. Precinct 4, Selectman Bruce, 63. Capuano, 37. Duggan, 74. McCoy, 49. Parker, 4. Siracusa, 51. School Committee, Kyra, 77. DeMarco, 68. Paglia, 33. Demos, 63. Jackson, 68. McMiniman, 68. Regional School Committee, Gillis, 92. Housing Authority, 3-year, Butler, 72. Fiore, 58. Housing Authority, 5-year, Megan, 80. Redevelopment Authority, Suprenant, 76. Selectman Bruce, 49. Capuano, 28. Duggan, 75. McCoy, 51. Parker, 12. Siracusa, 61. School Committee, Kyra, 60. DeMarco, 70. Paglia, 39. Demos, 63. Jackson, 74. McMiniman, 70. Regional School Committee, Gillis, 88. Housing Authority, Butler, 78. Fiore 61, 5-year Housing Authority, Meagan 91, Redevelopment Authority, Suprenant 90. Selectmen, Bruce 44, Capuano 44, Duggan 68, McCoy 56, Parker 6, Siracusa 51. School Committee, Kyra 72, DeMarco 68, Paglia 41, Demos 53, Jackson 74, McMiniman 70. Regional School Committee, Gillis 103, Housing Authority 3-year Butler 80, Fiore 55, 5-year Housing Authority Meagan 93, Redevelopment Authority Suprenant 95. Lost Machine Precinct 4, Selectmen, Bruce 53, Capuano 38, Duggan 66, McCoy 48, Parker 7, Siracusa 63. School Committee, Kyra 74, DeMarco 67, Paglia 39, Demos 55, Jackson 89, McMiniman 65. Regional School Committee, Gillis 100, Housing Authority 3-year Butler 72, Fiore 67, Housing Authority 5-year Meagan 86, Redevelopment Authority Suprenant 85. We're now on Precinct 3. Selectmen, Bruce 55, Capuano 34, Duggan 68, McCoy 54, Parker 4, Siracusa 40. School Committee, Kyra 63, DeMarco 70, Paglia 28, Demos 52, Jackson 76, McMiniman 60. Regional School Committee, Gillis 87, Housing Authority 3-year Butler 69, Fiore 56, Housing Authority 5-year Meagan 83, Redevelopment Authority Suprenant 78. Still in Precinct 3, Selectman Bruce 46, Capuano 34, Duggan 68, McCoy 56, Parker 8, Siracusa 41. School Committee, Kyra 69, DeMarco 77, Paglia 30, Demos 49, Jackson 68, McMiniman 49. Regional School Committee, Gillis 89, Housing Authority Butler 70, Fiore 53, 5-year Housing Authority Meagan 82, Redevelopment Authority Suprenant 80. Selectmen, Bruce 50, Capuano 31, Duggan 53, McCoy 72, Parker 7, Siracusa 38. School Committee, Kyra 68, DeMarco 65, Paglia 29, Demos 53, Jackson 69, McMiniman 59. Regional School Committee, Gillis 81, Housing Authority Butler 69, Fiore 48, 5-year Housing Authority Meagan 76, Redevelopment Authority Suprenant 78. Excuse me. Still in Precinct 3. Mr. Bruce 50, Capuano 36, Duggan 55, McCoy 61, Parker 6, Siracusa 37. School Committee, Kyra 57, DeMarco 62, Paglia 30, Demos 52, Jackson 64, McMiniman 60. Regional School Committee, Gillis 83, Housing Authority, Butler 65, Fiore 59, thank you. 5-year Housing Authority, Meagan 78, Redevelopment Authority, Suprenant 77. Excuse me. Thank you. Final machine in Precinct 3, final machine of the election. Selectmen, Bruce 51, Capuano 37, Duggan 69, McCoy 56, Parker 5, Siracusa 29. School Committee, Kyra 65, that's Kyra 65, DeMarco 67, Paglia 31, Demos 51, Jackson 64, McMiniman 63. Regional School Committee, Gillis 82, Housing Authority, Butler, 61. Fiore, 55. Five-Year Housing Authority, Megan, 76. Redevelopment Authority, Suprenant, 74. These are the first three precincts, precincts 1, 2, and 5. Just to recap, the first three precincts that were at Town Hall while we're tabulating the final results. For Selectmen, Jerry Duggan, 710 votes. Chester Bruce, 602 votes. Tom Siracusa, 590 votes. Anthony Capuano, 582 votes. Michael McCoy, 555 votes. And Elmer Parker, 73 votes. School Committee, Linda McMiniman, 885 votes. Brad Jackson, 860 votes. Aldo Kyra, 742 votes. John DeMarco, 717 votes. Jim Demos, 691 votes. And Andrea Paglia, 393 votes. John Gillis, Regional Vocational School Committee, 1,122 votes. Housing Authority, 3-year, Dorothy Butler, 724 votes. Charles Fiore, 814 votes. Housing Authority, 5-year, Al Megan, 1,336 votes. And Redevelopment Authority, Von Suprenant, 1,023 votes. We'll have the final results, excluding absentee ballots, for you in just a moment.
Thanks. You've been listening to Town Moderator Jim Stewart, who's been giving you a live update from here at Town Hall. A couple things we'd like to remind you of. First of all, totals can be gotten later this evening by calling the town crier. They will have the results on a recording. And also, we want to remind you about the forthcoming town meeting. That'll be next Saturday, April 25th at 10:30 a.m., and that'll be at the Wilmington High School Auditorium. The turnout today has been an excellent one. As of about 3 o'clock, it was over 3,200 people. I haven't gotten a final tally yet, but I hope you exercised your right and went out there and cast a vote. I'd also like to take the opportunity to invite you to join WCTV. If you haven't come down to the station and learned about what's going on, you owe it to yourself to come on down and take a look. WCTV is run exclusively by volunteers, and I hope that you watching us tonight will go down to the station and become one of those volunteers. If you're interested in information about WCTV, you can call the station at 657-4066. Ask for the general manager, Sam Showerman, and he'll be happy to help you out. We'll be back with our live coverage in just a minute.
We're back, and I have the unofficial results of the selectmen's race, excluding absentee ballots, and there are approximately 140 absentee ballots, which are not included in the totals I'm about to give you. Without the absentee ballots, Jerry Duggan is leading the selectmen's race with 1,463 votes. Chester Bruce is second with 1,297 votes. Tom Siracusa is third with 1,259 votes. Michael McCoy is fourth with 1,232 votes. Anthony Capuano is fifth with 1,083 votes, and Elmer Parker is sixth with 151 votes. As you can see from those totals, the absentee ballots could very well decide the election, and we are not prepared to declare any winners here with that many absentee ballots left to be counted. It's a very close race, and we'll be keeping a close eye on it. We'll get back to you as soon as we have the official results from Kay Scanlon, the town clerk.
Well, hi, I am standing with the editor of the Town Crier, Fred Nielsen. Fred, welcome to WCTV.
Hi.
We just heard some of the unofficial results, and it sounds a lot closer than I think a lot of people were expecting. Were you expecting it to be this kind of a horse race, this close in together?
Frankly, no. I was figuring it would have been a couple of candidates really ahead. It's
Very tight in there. The other opinion I wanted to get from you, a lot of people have said this is the year to get rid of incumbents. There's been a lot of that talk around town, and yet we see pretty tightly knit race as it stands currently. Chet Bruce is certainly in there, he being an incumbent, of course. What do you think about that? Is this going to be a year where people vote against incumbents just across the board?
On the selectmen's race? No. The selectmen's race, you've got to take into consideration that Bruce draws his votes from a lot, the same block that a couple of the challengers draw.
Mm-hmm.
So that's part of what made it tight.
Let me ask you another question. It has also been an interesting year for advertising when it comes to political issues. And of course, being down with the Crier, you would know that. In your opinion, who's run a really effective media campaign? Who's really had a dramatic impact out there?
I was impressed with Tom Syracuse's ads. He had a very positive note to him. He really stuck to the issues.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else who comes to mind?
On school committee, I thought Aldo Cara ran an excellent campaign. Brad Jackson had good ads.
So all those people are impacting positively through the media.
I think so.
And we'll see how it turns out tonight. I've been joined by Fred Nielsen from the Town Crier. Thanks very much for joining us.
Sure.
And we will be back to you very shortly with more information right here live from Town Hall on WCTV.
I now have unofficial results of the school committee race, again excluding the absentee ballots. Leading the balloting thus far, Brad Jackson with 1,843 votes. Second, Linda McMiniman with 1,706 votes. Third, John DeMarco with 1,614 votes. Fourth, just 6 votes back, Aldo Cara with 1,608 votes. Fifth, James Demos with 1,421 votes, and Andrea Paglia with 804 votes. Both of these races are obviously too close to call at this point, but we will have official results for you as soon as they come in. I think it's fair to say that with the lead that Jerry Duggan has coming into the absentee ballots, I think it's fair to say that it appears as though Jerry Duggan will be successful in his bid for one of the seats on the Board of Selectmen, but the school committee race at this point is too close to call, and we'll get back to you with official results as soon as Kay Scanlon hands them to us.
I'm standing again with our resident political analyst and very unopinionated individual, Kevin Swarta. Kevin, this is...
You're getting good at this, you know.
I'm trying to. This has been a much, much closer race than you and I imagined at the beginning.
Jerry Duggan has amazing strength tonight, but I think a lot of people were predicting that. People were saying throughout the community that Jerry Duggan was going to be a strong contender for the seat, had a lot of support out there, and by far he tops the ticket. But the real race tonight, and it'll be a surprise who finishes on the number 2 side, is between Chet and Tom. Tom's right at Chet's heels, but as of right now, I guess Chet's about 30 or so votes ahead. There's 139 or 140 absentee ballots. Unless one of the candidates organized an absentee ballot drive, I would tend to think that the absentee votes might go in favor of the incumbent, but we'll have to wait and see.
Any gut feeling in terms of those absentee ballots? You're good for making guesses.
Yeah, I did well on the school committee side where we predicted that Brad Jackson would top the ticket by far, and it's looking that way. Some other results, though, on the selectman side, I'm surprised at the strength of Mike McCoy, especially after yesterday's court ruling where he was found guilty in the Kane McCoy case. For him to have a vote figure that's higher than Tony Capuano's. I'm surprised by that. I thought Tony Capuano would have at least beaten McCoy for vote totals. Tony ran a hard campaign and didn't have that negative rating problem I thought that McCoy had. So McCoy actually has done strong tonight with 1,232 votes, which comprises 19% of the total.
And do you think that Michael has effectively deflected some of the criticism that was against him in the beginning by running some of the upfront ads, addressing the issue, kind of cutting the legs out from beneath people who are going to run negatively against him?
No, because he still lost. It's a pretty easy analysis. I spent a lot of money and didn't win the race, and that's just not the what you want in politics. But I am surprised at the total, though.
What about the school committee race?
Brad Jackson is just a juggernaut in the town of Wilmington. He's topping the ticket. He ran an incredible campaign, and I think he tops the ticket because he's the person in Wilmington who's perceived as the best route for positive change on the school committee. He made himself look the most different from the incumbent body, which has a very high negative rating as a whole right now.
Absolutely.
So he almost deserved to top the ticket, if you will. His advertising campaign was excellent. It was articulate. It went right to the issue. His slogan, "Get the school committee back to business," apparently sold like hotcakes tonight.
And you think so he's addressing the hottest issue, which is here's this turmoil, and here comes somebody on a white Charger who's going to take care of the critical issue, taking care of our kids.
The candidate whose theme addresses the needs and concerns of voters usually wins the election, and Brad did that tonight.
Terrific. We're going to have some more analysis with Kevin shortly. Right now, let's go back to Jimmy Stewart.
I have unofficial results of the final contested race this evening for the 3-year seat on the Wilmington Housing Authority. Again, another very close race. Leading that race, Dorothy Butler with 1,627 votes. Charles Fiore, 1,596 votes, a difference of 39 votes. In all 3 races, the absentee ballots will decide the outcome of this election. I think it's fair to say at this point that, as I mentioned earlier, Jerry Duggan seems to have a comfortable lead in the selectmen's race, and we project him as a winner in the selectmen's race. And Brad Jackson and Linda McMiniman, with the lead they have on Aldo Kyra and John DeMarco, appear to be on their way to to seats on the school committee. Looks to be a battle for 3rd place between Mr. Kyra and Mr. DeMarco. And on the selectmen's race, a battle for 2nd between incumbent Chester Bruce, Thomas Siracusa, and Michael McCoy, all with over 1,200 votes, a difference of only 65 votes between the 3 of them. So again, we'll be back with official results from the town clerk very shortly.
J.T. Turner again, standing with Kevin Sawarda. Kevin, we just heard some results from the one of the hottest races this evening, or at least the one we thought was going to be hottest. Dot Butler running against Charles Fiore. What do you think about those results?
Neck and neck. We said earlier that Charlie Fiore had done a last-minute blitz, and apparently it's worked. He hit all the mailboxes in town with a last-minute mailing, had an effective ad, and I had said earlier that I thought it was somewhat of a referendum on whether or not people in the community agreed with the dismissal of Ella Belmore as executive director. Quite frankly, the long-term story here is that if there is this new person on the Housing Authority, Charlie Fiore, there could be the possibility of her being rehired.
He could be the deciding vote for having her come back.
He could vote in her favor. Then again, he could vote to keep things as they are and to start this big search process. But this is an interesting contest tonight, and obviously we'll have to wait and see for the absentee votes.
Sure. Let's take a look at the races again, if we can get it up on some graphics, and Kevin and I can chat about them. Selectmen results. We're looking at Mr. Bruce with 20% of the vote. Tony Capuano polling 17%. Mr. Duggan polling 23%, Mike McCoy at 19%, Elmer Parker at 2%, Tom Siracusa at 19%. Pretty tightly packed in
Right,
there.
both Tom Siracusa and Chet Bruce have to wait for the absentee ballots. There's 139 or 140, I believe. Jerry Duggan can start celebrating tonight. He's over at, I forget where they told me the function was, but they can start now because he's ahead by far, and I think I saw John Brown on his way, in fact. That's a big win for a guy who just was not involved in politics. I think Jerry Duggan is perceived as a very non-political guy who's just very personally popular with most people in the community, and in that he's very much like the person he's succeeding on the board. Bob Doucette, when he first ran years ago, was not exactly a political person, but he was well-known, easy to talk to, and personally popular, and that just sells very well in a local race, which really does boil down to personalities and how you know people personally.
And as we talked about earlier in the evening, being perceived as the non-politico in the bunch has certainly panned out well for
This is the year to be non-political. I think that helps Chet Bruce also, who's always portrayed himself as the dissenting vote, if you will, on the Board of Selectmen. It helps Tom Syracusa as a newcomer, and that's clearly why the two of them are neck and neck, but we'll have to wait for those absentee ballots. Again, I am surprised at Tony Capuano's figure, 1,083, which is 17% of the vote. I thought he would have done better tonight.
That is a little surprising. Mike McCoy just nudging him out there. Let's move on and take a look at the school committee race. And here we have Mr. Kyra pulling in 18%, John DeMarco at 18%, Andrea Paglia pulling in 9%, Mr. Damos at 16%, Brad Jackson at 20%, and Linda McMiniman at 19%.
This
Again,
is
very close race.
This is proof that everybody should vote. 6 votes or 8 votes or what have you separate Aldo Kyra from John DeMarco, so they'll have to wait for the absentee ballots. It's happened before in school committee races. We all remember the year when Phil Fenton and Andrea Paglia were biting their fingernails as the absentee votes were counted, and in the end it was decided by 1 vote. That could well be the case tonight, but the clear message here is still a message of change and anti-incumbency in the school committee, because the person topping the ticket is Brad Jackson, and second is Linda McMiniman, who was a former school committee member. Some people had argued that Linda McMiniman might not have that electoral strength still in the community. She hasn't been on the board for a while, but apparently this shows what we had been talking about before, that she has a very good grassroots organization, and it might be quiet out there, but it's effective, and apparently it turns out to vote to the tune of 1,706 votes, giving her 19%. So she and Brad are guaranteed seats on the school committee, and we'll have to wait and see with whether or not Aldo Kyra or John DeMarco will pull the number 3 seat. Andrea Paglia is an incumbent who was definitely defeated today, 804 votes, and Jim Demos pulled in a pretty good number with 1,421.
And again, we're looking, of course, at unofficial returns, but we hope to be fairly accurate here at WCTV. Let's take a look at the next race.
John Gillis, way to go. Tough campaign, well fought. It's tough to lose those regional vocational school committee seats, and so I'm glad to see that John Gillis won tonight. This is the first time I've been in this room that I haven't been losing an election, and so I feel very glad for John, but he's a good guy.
Well, I haven't told you how you've been doing on camera, though, so we'll move on to the next race.
That's true. This is an interesting race. Everybody said, what is the big deal with the Housing Authority race? It's not an issue. Well, it is an issue. People have made this a real contest between Dot Butler and Charlie Fiore, the police officer. They're running neck and neck. Both have 50%. Dot is 1627, and Charlie is 1596. So this is another contest that goes right to the absentee ballots, and we'll have to wait for Kay Scanlon to count those.
And as you mentioned, Charlie Fiore really pouring it on towards the end of this campaign.
Right.
Literally a door-to-door campaign.
Literally
towards the last few
door-to-door.
days.
I thought he had a pretty effective piece of literature from a political point of view, and I still think he'll pull this off tonight.
Let's look at the next race. I think the rest of our races are uncontested.
Another tough contest for
Al Megan.
Fighting Al with 1336, but that's a good vote of confidence, and now he gets 5 years on the Housing Authority. That's kind of scary.
Von Supranat, of course, another uncontested race. An incumbent returning to
That's a 7-year term. That is so scary, but he should do very well with 1,023.
Great. And we will be back with more information from WCTV at Town Hall. Let's go to Jim Stewart, our town moderator.
We should have official results in approximately 10 minutes. Currently, Kay Scanlon and her staff are tabulating the absentee ballots and finalizing the results from the Wildwood Street School, and they should be available in about 10 minutes. As JT and Kevin have indicated, there are a number of close races that are yet undecided. As a matter of fact, all 3 contested races are too close to call at this point. But we will be back approximately 10 minutes after the interview with Jerry Duggan, who is on his way to a seat on the Board of Selectmen. We'll be back with results just after the interview.
And I'm standing with a gentleman who looks a little happy this evening. Jerry Duggan, welcome to WCTV.
Thank you.
How do you think you're going to do?
I'm going to do great.
Sort of a done deal, sort of a done deal. Let's talk a little bit about your campaign. Kevin and I were talking about you earlier, and you've been perceived as a non-political person, someone from the town, of the town, who's been going out there and working for the people. Has that helped you? Obviously it's helped you. Is that how you perceive yourself?
Yeah, I believe it's helped me a lot, that there's a lot of connections with political things that people don't want to be involved with anymore, and I think I'm playing that part right now, and I intend to continue that.
One of the things that you've mentioned in your campaign that you are in favor of is more collaborative planning between Town Hall, the school department, parents, and teachers. How's Jerry Duggan going to do that?
Well, hopefully I'll get the message across that the school committee, or the school department and the town departments are not separate countries, is the term I've used before. It's always this, you know, us and them all the time. But the bottom line is that we're all in this together.
You've also brought up that a key issue for you has been rebuilding this community. What kinds of things are you going to do? You know, there's a lot of dissent in the community. A lot of people are dissatisfied with a lot of things. What are you going to do to heal the wounds, as it were?
I believe communication is the biggest thing to do. If we get everyone talking together and working together, then a lot of the dissension and the factional stuff that's been going on will just pan out, and we'll get back into just working together.
And that's key. I've been chatting with Jerry Duggan. Jerry, thanks for being on WCTV. Best of luck.
Thank you.
As though you needed it. We'll be back in a few minutes on WCTV, live from Town Hall. J.T. Turner on WCTV, live from Town Hall. We're going to go over now to Jim Stewart for some more results. Jim?
Thank you, JT. I have still unofficial results without the absentee ballots, but I'd like to update you on all of the races at this point. The Selectmen's race, 2 seats open, 6 individuals running. Jerry Duggan, we are projecting as a winner in the Selectmen's race with 1,523 votes. Second presently, Chet Bruce with 1,297. Tom Siracusa, 1,259. Michael McCoy, 1,232. Anthony Capuano, 1,083. Elmer Parker, 148. With 140 absentee ballots approximately being counted presently, Chet Bruce, Tom Siracusa, and Michael McCoy are all still in the running for the second seat on the Board of Selectmen. In the school committee race, leading the race presently, and we are projecting Brad Jackson to take one of the seats on the school committee with 1,843 votes. Linda McMiniman, we are also projecting a winner with 1,706 votes. Battling for the third seat are John DeMarco with 1,614 votes and Aldo Cairo with 1,608 votes, a difference of only 6 votes. And rounding out the field, Jim Demos with 1,421 votes and Andrea Paglia with 804. John Gillis, Regional Vocational School Committee, running unopposed, finished with 2,233 votes, unofficial. Wilmington Housing Authority race for 3 years, also too close to call at this point. Dorothy Butler presently leading with 1,627 votes, and Charles Fiore close behind at 1,596 votes. Wilmington Housing Authority, Al Megan, 5-year term, 2,443 votes, and we're still waiting for a total on the Redevelopment Authority. Vaughn Suprenant, who through the first 3 precincts counted, had 1,105 votes, and we're still tabulating his results from the Wildwood School. And just a quick explanation on what we're waiting for. We get the unofficial results off of the machines from the town clerk. All of those results have to be finalized and checked and rechecked. And also all of the absentee ballots, which I mentioned there's approximately 140, have to be added into the vote totals that I've been announcing this evening. So we're anxiously awaiting the arrival of Town Clerk Kay Scanlon with three current races hinging on those absentee ballots. There are a few people in this room waiting with bated breath for Kay Scanlon's arrival, and we will bring you those results as soon as she arrives.
And as soon as those results get here, we will be sure and share them with you. I'm J.T. Turner. I'm chatting with Kevin Sawarda. Kevin, as you may know, writes for the Town Crier, writes an interesting column called Frankly Speaking, which is just a little bit opinionated for those of us that have read it. Kevin, you write an op-ed column for the Town Crier. How much play does a column like yours have within the town? How much of an effect can Kevin personally have on the individual Wilmington voter?
Guys like us would love to say that we're a real factor and that we can stimulate how voters go to the polls.
Well, I've heard you say that.
But in the end, I think I wrote this week that in the end, especially in Wilmington, voters make up their mind the old-fashioned way, and that's on their own. Mm-hmm. And regardless of how much op-ed might try to stimulate thought and provoke thought in the community, in the end, I think the electorate in Wilmington is very sophisticated. I think it's very intelligent, and that they make up their own minds. And I know there's one candidate in particular who's made the charge that the paper decides elections. It's flattery to us, but it's insulting to the voters. Mm-hmm. They're very sophisticated. I think politicians in the past have made the grave error of underestimating the voters. There's a great thing about the secret ballot. You close that curtain, and nobody sees how you vote. And thank God for that.
Absolutely true. Let's springboard off of that. Let's talk a little bit about an unusual step the Lowell Sun took this week.
The Lowell
Came out with an opinion.
Yeah, the Lowell Sun is the big regional paper for our area, and they took what I think called and was told that someone